Mims Davies, Shadow Secretary.
Despite what the Prime Minister has said, speaking out for rape gang victims is not jumping on a far-right bandwagon. Yet yesterday it's reported that Number 10's interim spokesperson said it's obviously disappointing to see people weaponising rape gangs for political point scoring. Mr Speaker, I ask, how does this square with the harrowing personal testimony from Jade, Chantal, Scarlett, Erin and Steph in Anna Hall's Channel 4 documentary aired last week, where concerning questions continue about councils, police, schools, social workers and children's homes? In these reported up to 50 communities where vulnerable girls who are underage, exploited children were unbelievably labelled as promiscuous or child prostitutes.
The Honourable Lady points out the terrible things that have gone on historically and that continue to be a concern across our country, which is exactly why the government is investing in the task force which is working across the country with police forces to ensure that people can be arrested and girls can be kept safe. Arrests have gone up. Everybody thinks this issue is a terrible one. Absolutely everybody does. And I remind the Honourable Lady of a Prime Minister who she served as gladly served as a Women and Equalities Minister, who said looking into these historic cases was spaffing money up the wall.
Mims Davies.
You're in government now. A year. What an awful result.
As a child, Jade got a criminal record during her own abuse and exploitation, and now cannot attend her own children's school trips. Chantal rightly said, "We're not the problem, the men are the problem." Mr Speaker, despite plenty of good women on the front bench, I have to ask, is this government simply more interested in protecting their own rather than staying true to their manifesto pledge?
Absolutely right.
Which says we will use every tool to target perpetrators. Yet Labour are turning their back, you can hear it, once again, with the leader of this House calling it dog whistle politics on national radio. So why won't this minister and her front bench commit to deliver a proper national statutory public inquiry and finally put victims first?
I will absolutely protect my own in this. And my own in this are the women in our country who for the last 14 years have had no efforts made. And people say terrible things, and the Leader of the House was right to apologise. I wonder how many of those on the opposite bench asked the former Prime Minister to apologise for saying that the exact girls that he was talking about, that their lives, and looking into them in an inquiry that already happened, that was statutory, was spaffing money up the walls. Where was the outrage?
Sonia Kumar.
Question number 5, Mr Speaker.
Minister.
Mr Speaker, a £250 billion boost could be added to the UK economy if women are given the same opportunity as men to start and scale their business. That's why it is a priority for this government to increase access to capital for women-led businesses, and that we continue to work, as the Chancellor has also outlined, on the Women's Business Council work, the Invest in Women's Task Force, and with supporting the FTSE Women Leaders programme. We have also backed the Invest in Women's Task Force, which launched an initial £255 million fund with a £50 million commitment from the British Business Bank to be invested via female investors into women-led businesses.
Mr Speaker, for every £1 of equity funding, only 2p goes to fully female-funded businesses, a figure that has barely shifted in recent years, and that closing this gap could unlock up to £250 billion for the UK economy. Can the Minister outline what further steps the Department will take in collaboration with the Treasury, DBT, to address this persistent inequality and support female entrepreneurs for scaling their businesses?
Mr Speaker, my honourable friend is right. For too long, innovative women-led start-ups have been held back due to a lack of finance, with the proportion of equity capital investment going to all female founder firms stuck at around 2% in the UK for the last decade. Alongside the Invest in Women Task Force, the Department for Business and Trade is leading on the Investing in Women Code, working with finance providers to increase access to finance, resources and networks for women-led businesses. I want to see us use the talents of all business leaders to support female entrepreneurs, which is right not just for women, but for the whole economy.
I thank the Minister for her answer. Minister, in my constituency of Strangford, there are many women who have started their own businesses. There has been a problem. It's been getting access to the finance to actually make it happen. Venture capital will make that happen. To ensure that ladies and women have the same opportunities as men, just because they're a different sex doesn't mean they're any less able to do that job. Can the Minister ensure that the venture capital will be available in Northern Ireland for my ladies in Strangford, for my ladies and my women in Northern Ireland?
I thank the honourable gentleman for his question. The funding will be available to women-led businesses in his constituency, and it is absolutely right that we continue to support the work of the Women's Business Council and others to make sure that we are looking at all we can do to support women in businesses and to come forward to start their own enterprises.
Ollie Glover in Topicals.
Number one, Mr Speaker.
Sarah State.
Mr Speaker, this government is taking decisive action to deliver our plan to make work pay, putting more money back into people's pockets. The Office for Equality and Opportunity recently launched a public consultation on mandatory ethnicity and disability pay gap reporting and a call for evidence on other measures to improve security at work for everyone and to tackle unequal pay. We will work in partnership with business to deliver this government's plan for change.
Thank you, Mr Speaker. Many constituents have written to me to express their concern on the recent UK Supreme Court ruling relating to the legal definition of a woman. It has left the already vulnerable members of the trans community feeling uncertain about how they will be able to go about living their day-to-day lives. What steps is the Minister taking to work with her colleagues in other departments to provide further guidance and clarity on what this judgment means in practice?
Mr Speaker, you will know that I made a statement to this House setting out the government's position where we welcome the clarity of the Supreme Court ruling. I should also stress that, of course, everyone within our country deserves to be treated with dignity, respect and compassion, and trans people continue to enjoy protection from harassment and discrimination under the law. We are working with the EHRC on their code of practice, which they will set out in due course following consultation.
Frank Manali.
Thank you very much, Mr Speaker. My right honourable friend will know of the growing concerns around social media algorithms increasingly promoting misogynistic and harmful content to children, particularly using the hook of dangerous online influencers. Can my right honourable friend advise what steps she is taking, working with Cabinet colleagues, to protect young people from such destructive influences?
I know my honourable friend raises a concern shared by many across this House and the crucial importance of rooting out misogyny, whether it's online or offline. I'm working with colleagues across government to tackle these dangerous attitudes. We are looking, for example, through the Department for Education at bringing forward updated RSHE guidance to make sure we can use that to prevent and tackle misogyny. But alongside that, I know that my colleague, the Science and Technology Secretary, is determined to go further and faster to make sure that children are protected online.
Shadow Minister Sakibati.
Thank you, Mr Speaker. I'm a great believer that Britain is one of the greatest meritocracies in the world, where certainly, at least in our party, you can rise to the very top, irrespective of your race, your religion or your gender. The government's consultation on reforming equality law is a litany of activist demands and bureaucratic burdens with no proof that any of these measures will reduce inequality. So why is the government so determined to divide people into boxes on the basis of race instead of promoting equality of opportunity for all?
Mr Speaker, this Labour government is